and I'm super excited for this. This is Jessica with Daughters of Both Sons organization nonprofit. She is a founder in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. And yeah, would love to know what to start. What's the weather like out there right now?
Today is actually a little gloomy. It's a little warm. It's not as bad because now we're hitting the summer months. So it's definitely gonna get hot. It's getting from like 80s and then it'll go back to 60s. Um,
Yeah.
but it's okay considering this winter. It wasn't great.
Yeah, so we are here in Colorado. It's kind of same. It's been a very different type of weather. Like we're experiencing more of a summer and a winter, like instead of winter. Um, so when you're nonprofit, like with your work, does the weather have an impact on your services at all? Like for instance, with my services that I provide, when the weather's really bad, we are like really busy. There's so much like crisis and stuff like that. So do you guys provide support for stuff like that? Like when there's
So,
say like it's a cold freeze or
So no, it doesn't have
go ahead.
impact on our work because we work nationwide. So we're in Myrtle Beach.
Oh
I do
wow.
a lot of community work, but we also a lot of the work is done virtually through resource allocation and then connecting folks with mental health therapists and other organizations. And then we do
Wow.
in-person events, but virtual events also. So yeah, we do a little bit
Nice.
of everything.
How long? So when did you found your nonprofit?
I founded it July 2025.
When was your found? Oh my gosh! So that was super recent. So what
Yes.
was that feeling of just like taking the leap and kind of being like, I'm gonna do this? What did that feel like?
Um, I'll be completely honest, and this is how this happened. I was working for another nonprofit as a program manager. And when I was working, there was just differences and there was misalignment more because I was focused on the mission and it started becoming more political within the mission, which at that point it doesn't
Mm,
help us serve others. And with everything, because I published two books, right, and I'm all about like social justice advocacy work, equality, like I have a social work background as well. And I'm working on that. So it
yeah.
just didn't sit well with me because now we're diverting from the purpose of the nonprofit. So I was talking to my brother. There was just things that I saw that I didn't. Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't like. I just thought it should. It went against at one point like my morals too, and I had to make a decision. And I spoke to
Yeah.
my brother. He's like, Jessica, why don't you just open your own nonprofit? And I thought he was out of pocket. I'm like, what do you mean open my own nonprofit? Are you crazy? I'm like, honestly, I'm like, I think that's a lot. Like the
Yeah.
three kids. Like, you think I have time for that right now? He's like, honestly, he's like, I know you can do
Right.
it. You like, come on. Like, this is, you should be working for yourself, not for anyone else. Like, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And honestly, I'm like, you know what? Maybe he's right. This is so crazy. Within one day, this is the way I work. I literally said, you know what? I want a nonprofit. I didn't know exactly. I'll be completely honest. I went on ChatGPT. I told ChatGPT I want to start a nonprofit for Black and Latina women. I want mental health to be the core of everything that I'm doing, and I want to do this ASAP. It gave me an outline. When I'm telling you, I went
Oh
online.
my
I
gosh.
set up my website within a day to two. Like it's
Oh my gosh. I
wild.
love
I
it.
did all the research from the experience I had. I actually work with Women's Nonprofit Alliance, and I got my 501(c)(3) within a month, which is wild.
Oh my God.
Most, it
Yeah,
takes a
that
long
is so
time.
inspiring.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah, it does. And
it
so that is, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't want to cut you off, but from what you said, just literally hit home with me so hard because literally I feel like that's kind of what happens with us founders when we are mission purpose started and intentional and really have found that grounding and like I'm not gonna do this shit anymore. Like what? And the only reason why I say this is because I've worked for several nonprofits and it was the same thing. And I remember literally the day that this he's a CEO. He's out in Tennessee, and he opened up a bunch of organizations out here for recovery, like Antioch Summit, Indiana, Las Vegas, where so like I'm all excited to be like this employee because I'm like, oh, I'm about to like help these people and I'm about to be doing what I want, like with the mission purpose that's in my heart, which is helping people in recovery who are coming from also like victims of a crime and abuse and trying to help them like rediscover themselves and not fall back into old patterns and behaviors and also hold offenders accountable. So anyways, I literally was working in this industry where I was like, not this is not ethical. I was like, this is none of this is ethical what we're doing here. And like, well, that's above your pay grade. Like, you're never gonna move up and this that. And I was like, move up. I was like, the people who have moved up get treated more like crap. And so,
right.
anyways, that was the last business that I worked for where I literally blew the whistle like twice. I got attacked twice by like
Wow.
just individuals that were unmonitored like properly and they were in psychosis and it was just a mess. So I told the CEO, I was like, there's a way better framework to do things. I was like, I get it. You probably had like, because they came in with this whole spiel about their mission and all this but then like it applied nothing to what was happening. And so when I like applied it to the CEO and the founder of everything, he was just like no idea, like didn't really even care. And I was
Wow.
just like, what the heck? So it was just like really that moment of like, why am I doing this? Like, why can't someone like me have my own thing and do it intentional? So that's literally what I did, similar to you. I
Yeah.
I really like I literally just said, "Screw it. I'm going to do this." And same thing. Like I had always had a vision. I had a brand before I opened my nonprofit, but it was piggybacked off of my brand, and so I didn't know how to really open a nonprofit either. I was just like, I know what I want to do, what needs to be done. So how am I gonna do this? So same thing. Literally overnight, I had already client, and I was like, just took the leap. I already had a program built, but I never like her paperwork. I provided it to the state. I hired a company that anyone who's starting a nonprofit, if you are listening to this, do not go through Swift filings. Do not do it. Swift filings, like I hired them, paid them $5,000 a waste. Like, oh my god, I had made and lost so much money doing this, like just not really knowing how, like just knowing what. So then after I spent all that money and I'm up and running, I still didn't get federally recognized, which is why I was like never
Oh
pay
my.
for Swift filings again because they claimed that they were gonna help me get my federal 501c3, and then come to find out I never even got it. So then
Do you want to know how
I
much I
found out
paid?
that okay, how much?
Like not even
Probably like
five hundred
$200. I
bucks.
don't know.
Not even $500. And that was because I
Yeah.
went through
So that's
Women's
what I'm saying.
Nonprofit Alliance. Yeah.
See, I didn't know anything about like I was kind of like so there's this saying like okay, you don't start off on good footing. If a nonprofit is built on like not stable foundation, it's gonna crash and fall. And so literally like I've seen it happen, but the problem is these big nonprofits that did that got all this grant money, got all this money like in different forms or donations, whatever it was. So they were held accountable, and now look where they are. They're facing fraud claims, or they're not existing, or whatever. So with me, it was all like my earned income, like my tax return, my hourly wages. I was working two jobs. I kept up my nonprofit, and then um, everyone just, I don't know, it was like weird when I would tell, and I would be like, no, why would you need to be rich for that? Do you ever get? Do you
Right.
ever feel like it's like this weird like imposter syndrome? Like, am I missing something here?
Yeah, because I think people have
So
a
yeah,
perception, they have a misperception of what it really takes to run a nonprofit. First off, we wear multiple
yeah,
hats running a nonprofit, and the work
hmm
is never stopping. And what most people don't know, especially starting from the ground up, you're putting a lot of your income into the nonprofit, right?
hmm
To a certain extent, because you haven't gotten that ROI yet. And then
yeah,
funding and grants, it's such a mess
yeah,
because like you said, you see like the fraud that is going on with these bigger nonprofits and how the grant funding goes to, because everything's like literally preset and preordained for these specific
yeah,
nonprofits to get funding. And then you notice that they only come around the community to get data to continue the
hmm
grant funding, which is so
oh
wrong,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. There is so yeah, and so like literally, I seen like I'm meant to break this stigma of like there's a difference between a business model and a and that I worked for, from the shelters to the rehabs, like every none of them had their bylaws, like their mission purpose. I would be like sitting in an orientation or like the next meeting after I got hired, and they would be like, I want the employees to help us create our mission purpose. And I would be like, what the? Wait a minute. Wasn't this like supposed to happen like when you started? And so it's like, it's so backwards, and it sucks because like I feel like what it used to be, like what I'm trying to bring awareness is like a business person was like, oh, if I launch a nonprofit, then I'll be tax free, like all this and that. And it's like that's not how it's supposed to go. Um, but a lot of the times, unfortunately, like those business people who see a profit bank of it, that's what they do. And so for me, like I've created my business model, but then I have my nonprofit model. So like it's like I'm learning more and more, especially from other founders that have been doing this intentionally, successfully. I've only been in this for 2 years now, since March 2024. And you're right, it is, there's always a fire. There's always a
Always,
fire to like put
always.
out, and it literally is. You will work as like you will never work as hard as you do as like when you're a founder, and so there's like a grace with it though, because you're now responsible and showing yourself you're capable to not be like held down by just a financial security paycheck. You're literally like walking in this of like, this is mine. Like I own this. Like this is
Right.
what I created to pass down whoever, and that's kind of like where I'm at, and it's not easy for sure. So yeah, so I want to like hear some of your hardest. What was one of your hardest things once you finally started getting like crew in or clients in? Like, what was one of the biggest, like, hardest things for you to kind of encompass and then pivot from?
So I think, right, especially with nonprofit organizations, where I see the biggest struggles and I had to adjust quickly as you're scaling, your operations have to scale with the scaling of the business as well. Because even though it's nonprofit, you're still running, right, your own business. And that means you cannot execute the mission on your own completely 100%. So I adjusted quickly. You have to adjust consistently. Like you said, there's fires that always have to be put down. And even though I'm type A and I want to do everything, like at this point, I have 8 interns under me, and everybody has a role. And I've developed systems as well, and everything is like, to my point, super organized. but I've also had to
Mm.
scale our processes and adjust as we continue to grow. Because at one point we were just
Yeah.
getting referrals. I'm like, okay, we're getting all of these referrals. We have like over 200 people on a wait list right now for mental health
Yeah.
services. This is like, we have to adjust. Yes, like my dream was, honestly, I wanted it to be completely pro bono, but then I had to readjust the system, right?
Right.
Because I had to make it
Yeah.
sustainable for us, for the clients, and for the therapists.
Mhm.
So I just,
Yeah.
and I'm quick on my feet. Thank goodness I'm quick on how I
Yeah.
readjust. But yeah, you just have to scale with the business itself. And I think that's been one of the things that have been, you know, hard, but at the same time, because I'll be honest, because I'm me and I'll find resources where there's none, I will make a way where there's no way. So I've
Yeah.
been,
And yeah.
yeah,
And that's part of like, I think that also goes back to you walking in your mission purpose because literally, my gosh, so I was told, why would you do all of that? And because I got a lot of crap for my like doing what I like, there's a huge chain I'm breaking when I launched my nonprofit. Um, and so, they were like, why would you do all of that? You can't even like hold a job. Like, they would just like talk crap, right? And I would be like, I'm doing this because this is my mission purpose. So my mission, it's bridging the gap between abuse and addiction. That's how it started. But literally now, where I'm at, due to real, like you said, like understanding everything, having to scale, like having to be quick, and realizing like, okay, how am I going to get to the deeper root instead of like working this? It's like a contradiction, it's like going in circles. So now I not only do the bridging the gap between abuse and addiction, but it's like bridging the gap between abuse and addiction with like advocacy, education, and awareness. Because I
yes,
used to shelter, and so after I started sheltering, and I was sheltering, doing outpatient, and I didn't have any interns or anything like that, but it definitely made I collected like all the data, all the stuff from the trial and error with my program and everything, and really seeing how the state responded to what I was literally not even asking for, but just like what I was doing. And so it made me realize that there is a wheel that a lot of these big industries do not want these people to get off of.
yeah,
And so now I was like, I am not adding to this wheel. I'm not reinventing it. I'm getting these people off the damn wheel because this is where that I was like, you want to make money off retail, make money off of like something that's a product. I was like, not people suffering. What?
right.
Like, so that's like my biggest. Yeah. So now we work in like legislative. I'm trying to. So I just established a board in November, and in 2024, we're now finally have a developmental partner. But now our next pivot is getting interns, getting volunteers that are actually sustainable to hold the client confidentiality, who are trained appropriately and can like show up the way that I had to, the way that the work model is. And I think it's a lot to honestly see like to trust people and understanding the mission purpose. And do
Right.
you think it takes like how did you find your people? Like cuz that's kind of like I'm finding my people now and I slowly was. But it's like there's always going to be a crisis. And so I had to learn to try to like okay, let's slow down. There's always going to be a crisis, but now let's find more sustainability because I'm only one person and I can only even though like I'm still like I'm superpower, I'm not. So how did you go about doing that, if you don't mind me asking?
Like, I literally took everything that I've learned from being in the nonprofit sector and I just tuned it. So everything that I was doing as a program manager, I adjusted it into my own program. So I knew, right, especially in this sector, because I literally created systems, trainings, SOPs, just so many things being in, a program manager, that I put my program management skills to use, right? Because I'm very
Yeah.
multifaceted. So the one of the first things I did, I'm like, okay, I know that early on, first as a nonprofit, visibility is major, right? Because for you to be able to show that you're sustainable, even to grant funders, and
Mhm.
partners, you have to push yourself and make a way into these rooms. And I'm telling you, I don't know. I did it. I did major outreach with a whole bunch of partners. I took meetings. I started, asking, right, if we're partnering, I want you on my website, right? Because that adds
Yep.
credibility to what I'm doing. And then
Yes.
whatever you lack, we can come in, and whatever I lack, you guys come in. So we're
Yeah.
helping each other out there, right?
Yep.
So
The reciprocation.
right, exactly. So I did that. I went on Handshake. I got interns. That's like
Nice.
yes. All the major
Okay.
universities, they you go on Handshake. You'll find interns, because this is the thing. Interns, they need hours for to complete
Yeah.
their degrees. So it's a
Yeah.
win-win as a nonprofit for the organization and for the interns, because they need those hours. So
Yeah.
I literally right now, look, I have a program manager, program coordinator, social media manager, a resource navigation as first POC, and then I have 4 MSW interns.
See,
So
girl, I'm about to learn from you because literally that's kind of like I've like so I have my degree too. Like I have all my certifications in social like psychology and all that stuff.
yep.
So I don't want to be a therapist ever. So I work casework. I do a lot of legislative work, but my board member, when she graduating her trauma therapy from MSU, and so I was like, oh, I wonder if she can do her hours as yeah. So I was like thinking like that too. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to find people who are graduating with these degrees and need hours because you're right. I did know that for like the therapy model because it is something that is really important when it comes to this work that we do. Um, and so you're also like with your name and your nonprofit, how did that come? Like, what is that stand from?
So I'll be honest, and now you're gonna laugh again. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I use ChatGPT a lot, but I told ChatGPT this is my idea, right? I need
Uh-huh.
a name that's culturally aligned for Black and Latina women, but also, like I said, like that has culture. So I kept looking, right?
Yeah.
I asked, I didn't like the names that I found. I kept
Right.
thinking, right? I'm like, I need some mock-ups, right, of how this
Right.
can visually look. And then when I saw, right, because I kept playing, right, I kept playing with the bot. I'm like, no, this is not hitting. Then it gave me daughters of both sons, and I don't know why it just like for
It
me,
just
I'm like,
clicked.
yeah, it clicked. I'm like, this is like it clicked, and not only did it click, but I'm like, this is exactly what we're doing represents. We're representing both Black and Latino women, and
Yeah.
then when you think about it culturally as well, just like African American, Caribbean, just being under, I don't know, like the sun and the culture, it just makes
Yeah.
sense to me, and then what it represents, right? um Obviously being in the light and everything of that sort. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it hit, it clicked, and that's what I stood with.
Awesome. I love that. It is like there's no shame in utilizing the resources that have helped make society as a whole and human communication. And if you know how to use it, if you know how to utilize it, what's the shame in that, right? Because I'm not gonna lie to you either. I so like in school and college there was like don't use ChatGPT, don't use ChatGPT. So I never did. But then when it came to a lot of the nonprofit stuff too, with trying to help me get things faster done, because I knew exactly, like, I knew what I needed to do. I had all this stuff written out on paper, but it was like, this is not innovative. I was like, I can't, like, be like the college kid with all of these. So, like, I have my hard copies, but yeah, I went to ChatGPT too to, like, make sure that I fine tune things, and then I went to, like, trademark and all this stuff to make sure no one can, like, steal my stuff. But I think that one of the biggest things is that understanding that if it wasn't for technology that's like this, built by humans, it would have been a lot harder for us to
Yes.
really, like, get the motivation and confidence to be like, yeah, I can do this too. Because it's like, I don't believe that to have a nonprofit you have to be some, like, master's degree. Like, you just have to
No.
have a mission, purpose, and a lot of experience in knowing what needs to get done to, like, fulfill it, right? To really walk in it. And for me, like, a year ago, someone asked me, like, what does it feel like? Can you try to explain what that aha moment is, where you just kind of, like, your eyes are open and you're like, no, like, you just have this weird, like, it's not weird, but it's always like this pivot of, like, I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm, like, walking out of this old life, this old
Right.
model of who I, like, was and everything. And so for me, um today I explain it a lot better, but what I say is, like, once your eyes are open, it's you can't shut them. Like, it's like
Right.
it's almost, it's like domino effect, right? It's like pedal on the gas. Like, you're in it. There's, like, no turning back. And as much as hard as it gets, because it does get hard. There are some really, like, for me, like, there's, because the field I work in is obviously domestic violence, like, abuse. It's hard. There are some really hard times where it's like, oh my god, like, the backlog, the, like, what you feel, like, the weight of it all. And so I want to ask you, like, what are some of your things, like, what are some of your practices that you do to kind of bring yourself back, to remind yourself, like, hey, I can't carry the weight of the world, like I did, like, because as a founder we do hold a lot of that.
And yeah, I'm right there with you because we get women, right, that go through domestic violence and they're going through a lot of trauma and other things, right? So it's definitely a lot of work and you have to recenter yourself. And I think it's more about checking yourself, right? You
Yeah.
have to give yourself permission to step back when
Yeah.
you're at that point, because
Yeah.
I think we get to a point where we know we're burned out, but we know if we don't continue, it's not gonna get done, and then you're gonna fall so much more behind, and it's gonna be worse. But you have to step back because if not, when you're dealing in this sector with nonprofit work and even addiction, trauma, mental health, all of this, because it intercorrelates, right? To an extent, you will burn yourself out, and
Mhm.
then you'll start feeling it physically in your body as well.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
will.
100%.
Okay,
Because
and
that's,
there's times I've gotten to I'm like, okay, but I listen to my body. I'm like, I have to shut down. There's days where I'm like, go, 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 go. But
mhm.
when the body's saying like you need to calm the hell down, like chill
Yeah.
out because we're not in sync right now. You're doing too much. You gotta listen to your body. You even if it's an hour to yourself, or if you have the time to take a day, take a
Yeah.
day. You have to set
Yeah.
boundaries with the work as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, giving individuals access to your energy, giving, and also being able to not feel, like, any shame or guilt for, like, not responding to the text, or, man, I forgot to, like,
Yes.
update the calendar invite, or I hadn't reached out to this individual. So I think, like, that's a huge piece of it too, that really just, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I have to come back to, hold on one second. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. I have
It's a,
little ones. And so yeah, I am super thankful for being able to have this session. I was honestly right now, like, no lie, like, so I have a studio. It's called, well, I don't have a studio, but I go to the studio called Story Production Studios. And I wanted to do it there today, but right now I am in my half made, like, podcast studio room. It's like so funny because I always think of like that imposter syndrome of like, man, I don't want people to think like I'm a fake, but as honestly, like this is as real as it gets. People see me like from the ground, like where I started, like in my bedroom, like at a half-made podcast studio, to then, wow, she's in the studio, And I think that shows a lot too of, like you said, you started just like in 2025, and now look where you are. And I
I
think it
know.
being, yeah,
It's
like it
crazy.
being transparent and that really helps because I feel like there is so much like bias and of this fake persona, and it's like I myself don't do good at that. Like I'm very real. Like I'm like this shit is not easy. Like
It's really not. And you know what? And as you should, right? As you should feel confident and proud, right, of your accomplishments, and you're not an imposter because we've started organizations from the ground up where others could have but didn't, but we chose
yeah,
to, right? And this is not, I tell people all the
yeah,
time, this is not for the weak, okay? Because you have to be a
no, yeah,
multifaceted person to run an organization overall. So
yeah,
honestly, I'm like, you know what? I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. If anything, I'm
yeah,
like, why wasn't I here sooner? That's like
yeah.
my thing.
That's so wild you say that because I used to. So I always wanted to have a safe haven, and I was married in a very, like, today I'm still going through a very pervasive litigation. But anyways, he would always tell me, "You can't do that. It will burn the family. Why do you want to have a nonprofit? We can never do that. We just got to focus on my business. It will bring us money." So I'm over here drafting business plans for him, helping him with his security business, all this stuff. But yet putting my, that mission, purpose, that idea on hold. And so I just stuck with the brand. But when push came to shove, and the universe was like, no, like you're done. Like if you won't move out of this, you won't date. So I'm gonna push you out of. And so that's really, in essence, what started like my mission was that tragedy, and waking up of like I never want anyone to ever go through what I've had to go through, and being like, I don't want anyone to go through what this. I was like, this is insane. And so, and over here in Colorado, and in many states too, it's very broken with like the family courts, domestic
Right.
violence. Like, it's very, and so it's like this shell shock. And so when I launched my nonprofit, um, it's almost like, I don't know if you ever seen that movie Trolls, where
Yeah.
Poppy is like going to go rescue all. I just say this because she's going to go rescue all the trolls that got
Mhm.
kidnapped. And Grant with her, and she's like, "It's gonna be." I literally feel like when I watched that movie now, it's like that was me, like launching my
Yeah.
foundation, and now look where I am. Like I'm at this better place, still figuring it out, but it really is something that I feel that just like to give ourselves grace and to be like, wow, I did that, and to know once you start it, you can pivot from that. Because like now I'm pivoting
Yes.
into a business model with my, because I do like, I code websites, I do a lot of marketing, all sorts of stuff. So my Rediscover Market, it's the smaller one. Sorry, and my Rediscover Market, it is gonna pay 5% of sales. Like we'll start paying into the nonprofit. I'm starting
So
to
that's what
learn.
I'm doing. I
Yeah,
have like this coffee business that I started on the side, right? Like premium
yeah,
coffee. But yet I'm like starting to do like more speaking engagements, workshops. So
yeah,
like you become the face of the nonprofit, but then
yeah,
you do so many other or get
yeah,
sources of income to help with the nonprofit as well. So you have
yeah,
to
yeah.
consistently reinvent yourself and find ways.
Yeah, and like with that, like we can talk about the speaking events, like even our books. So I just published another book. It's called The She Is Movement. So survivors are in chapter, and it that book was, it's so hard to publish, but anyways, like it's just because there's so much. like story in there, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe this, you know. But it's a way to monetize your story, and that's what I'm learning too. And so now with the nonprofit, I'm also like helping survivors who are not just who are not victims anymore, but now teaching them how to pivot to monetize their story, so
Yeah.
that way they don't ever have to like strain and like understand like, God, I need a partner to help like financially, like, you know, as a single mother, or like I can't fulfill my dreams because I got to work 2 jobs. So really trying to teach survivors like to pivot in that mindset of like there's a better way, because as you said, the body 100% it does burn out, and it's so unreal because like that's what happened to me too. I ended up in the emergency room not really knowing what, just they were like, we don't know what's going on, like I thought I was having a heart attack. um,
Panic. Yeah.
but it wasn't like it. They checked everything, and then that's when my, because I have a shaman and a psych, and I do a lot of holistic stuff too, but they were all telling me it's literally internal, like internal anxiety that doesn't show up externally, but it's just like, so yeah, I had to learn that. And it was like after a year of just go go go, like policy protocol, like building, like making sure it's known, like being the marketer, being the one who's like making sure it's all okay, and then still having time to like live your life, right? Like there's
Right.
the founder life, and then there's like, okay, my personal life. So yeah, I feel
Which,
like
look,
that.
even having 3 kids and being married, I don't feel like I have a lot of a personal life because you're so ingrained in what you're doing in the mission. And even locally, right, when I'm doing these events, because we're having a big community resource fair in June. Look, I go
Yeah,
to I support locally, and I bring my kids with me also.
yep, me too.
Because as a mom, you do feel a little guilty because you're so ingrained and involved
Yeah,
in what you're doing, but they see that, they see that hard work. And it's not, like, it's not easy at all. But there's a lot of, like, it's just a lot. There's a lot of struggles when it comes to just running an organization in itself, but you just have to have the willpower to keep going. And, like, to your point, because I've been in the past in the ER, I had to learn my own body with like panic attacks and anxiety
mm-hmm.
because the body stores trauma. It stores, and then when you're doing so much, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I realize sometimes we do so much to kind of not, um, how can I say this? We do so much to avoid confronting ourselves at times too, with everything going on. So you definitely
Running,
have to
yep,
give yourself
the
permission.
avoidance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, the avoidance. Yeah, I would love to sponsor your guys' stuff on the Conquered for Me website. I just like built another modality where we're sponsoring like I just put on the Family Court Watch Project. That's another like nonprofit model in Florida. I would love to put you guys on there, and you know, just to refer clients to you guys, because if you guys do the virtual therapy, that is something that we like. We're here in Colorado, but it's virtual. The
Yeah,
joy of having technology.
exactly. We work
Yeah, I love
nationwide.
that.
We serve, so we have like
That's
therapists
so
in our
cool.
network from different states. So we're always continuing and expanding. And at the end of the day, we're gonna find, right, the resource, whether it's a sliding fee, pro bono, through someone's insurance. If they're looking for that culturally competent care, we're gonna find it. So
Yeah, that's so cool. I would love to one day be able to go out there and just see your organization and just really connect on a deeper level, because this is what I'm trying to do, and also the She Is mission purpose is to really intentional and just get on speaking platforms, like on the stage, go to that transformation
that's so funny you
of
say
like
that.
the place to like. our body, like showing up for ourselves.
Right.
I
Because
just, I think this is so cool. I really feel, yeah, go ahead.
no,
What
and
were you
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say?
I'm literally. It's so funny you're saying all the things that you're saying because I'm literally right there right now where that's where I'm
Wow.
focusing on a lot, right? Because a lot of my trauma and things that I went through domestic violence and other things, right, have led me to this point where I created
Mhm.
something sustainable and I wanted to stay that way. And you need people, right, in this community that are like-minded also and are
Mhm.
mission driven,
Yeah,
because you can't do it all by yourself. And I'm big on
yeah,
partnerships. I'm big, very
yeah.
big.
Me
So
too.
yeah.
I'm definitely at that point too because, I think like just as when you're healing from trauma and abuse and all things, it can be isolating.
Yeah.
But so is it when you're like being this founder of, like, yeah, you show up for the meetings, the angel investor stuff, you do all that, but like it's still that isolation of like, does anybody really understand? Like, this is not just a job. Like, this is a way of
Yes.
life.
Yes, it's a
Like,
lifestyle. It really is, cause
yeah,
and then people come like, "Well, you're doing too much. You need to step back," and it's like, okay,
yeah,
I know how much I can take, but it's like if you're doing the most, it's a problem. If you're not doing the most, it's a problem for people too. So it's like, this
yeah,
is when you feel a calling, and this, this is like your purpose, that no one's gonna stop you from fulfilling that mission at the end of the day. And that's why I'm like, oh my god, like I love connecting and networking with like-minded people. And whenever you want to come over here, you're more than welcome. Like, I've it's so crazy, like all the expansion that we're doing here, even in Myrtle Beach, like with the county and like
yeah,
other healthcare partners and programs. So it's a lot of
yeah,
work, but
yeah,
I love
definitely.
it. I love I love what I do.
Yeah, no, I do too. I love what I do. I would never trade the life that I have today for the life I had then.
Oh
Like,
no.
yeah, it could be a lot of fucking work and a lot of tears and grit and
Yeah.
all the things, but I would never trade it for what I was like living in 2, 3 years ago. And I think it's like to get that out to other people enough for them to be like, I am capable of that too. Like, I don't have to like wake up every day that I absolutely hate, that I'm taken advantage of. I just need it for a paycheck. Yeah,
Right.
we all need to survive. But at the end of the day, like, no one's coming to save you, and no one's coming to like help those other people unless like one person, which is the businessman who can make money off their sickness, or hopefully people like us who actually give a damn,
Right.
who are like, yeah, we're
Exactly.
intentional, like we're not just gonna take, yeah, we're not gonna take your money first or like put on a face and then you're never gonna see us again.
Right.
And I really just, the community, the whole world really just needs to understand like we as humans need to be connected, and we need to understand that like one person's suffering is not something to invalidate or even manipulate to profit of. And I just see so much of that, so I speak so much on like why I do what I do and bridging the gap and like the gray area, right? And that's really where I'm at. I would have questioned, what would you say to somebody who is thinking of starting a nonprofit?
100%. It's not for the weak. That's number one. If you are a person that is going to, because I'll be very honest, I see a lot of people fail in the space per se because it gets too overwhelming for them, right? So I would
Yeah,
say you have to mentally prepare yourself to start a nonprofit. And not only
yeah,
that, you have to have your mission in accordance with
yeah,
what it is you really want to solve. Because if you're not passionate about your
yeah,
mission, it's going to be just like any other job.
yeah,
And connection is important.
yeah,
Networking and connection with the right
yeah,
people, and you have to push yourself in the rooms, like even when you're getting no's, you have this, you're gonna like find disappointments during the journey, but there's gonna be yeses, and you have to
Yeah.
keep moving and pushing and going.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the. Sorry, I'm trying to like plug in my computer here because it's like giving me a warning sign. See what I mean? Okay, there it goes. Can you plug it in? Okay, thanks. Yeah. So one thing when you said about that. Oh, sorry. One thing you said about that was yeah. When you get the nose, it's like discouraging, right? But you have to keep pushing. You have to be like that mindset of like it's okay. I'm eventually gonna get it because I'm not gonna get it off of the first try.
Right.
Um, it's not meant to be easy. What would you say to somebody that if they were what would you say to someone who's never heard about your organization? What is your like opening statement? Like what do you tell people about it?
So we're here to break
That's
stigmas
your
and
good
to
friend.
bridge the gap. Like that's what we're here to do. So our focus is to find culturally aligned
You
care for underserved women of
okay?
color. So like that's
Hold on,
our
hold on. Can
uh-huh.
you start over because you froze? I'm so sorry,
Oh,
you
it's
froze. So go ahead.
okay. So the main thing that I would say is that we're here to break stigmas and to bridge the gaps, right? Like we're the connector. So we're here to bridge the gap. We're here to break stigmas. And at the end of the day, our niche, yes, is for underserved women of color to find culturally aligned care. But one thing we would never do here is turn anyone down if they needed the assistance. That's something I would never do.
Yeah.
So I'm very big on advocacy and support. We're here to hold your hand through the process. And if you need community, there's community here for you. So you don't have to navigate through the journey alone. Touche, I know people say that all the time, but I'm one of those people. I actually mean it. All the systems
Yeah.
and things that I have implemented, even an app. We have an app also. Everything is to help all of to help all of these women, right?
Mm.
And we're stronger together at the end of the day. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, I would love, I can't wait. Like, I would love to have a partnership with you to be able, even with
Yes.
an app, because that's what I do. I build apps too. So we have an app too, to be able to connect that to the clients that we get. Also, there's the Underground Domestic Violence Railroad, where that's something that we're trying to work to, like, be. I don't know if it's in South Carolina, but it's in a lot of states right now. And right now, I'm trying to work to get it here in Colorado. Um, I think the biggest thing that I'm working towards is yes, I do speak to a lot of females, but with bridging the gap between abuse and addiction with education, awareness, and advocacy, I always say it's not a culture and it's not a gender. So even if you're a male, the domestic violence and abuse and all the things are there for you too if it's happening, and we're not going to turn you away. And that's one
Right.
of the biggest things that I press on too. Like, just because I am really strong in the She Is movement, which is talking about women and their pivot from domestic violence, doesn't mean that I don't serve the other type too, So I just, yeah, I love that you said that because I feel that some people see like a name of something and then they're like, oh well, that's just because they won't. And it's like no, it's just like that's what the mission purpose is. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna help you because you're different.
Exactly. No, and
So
that's not what we're here for. Even though we have our niches, at the end of the day, a human being is a human being. So at the core
yeah,
of it all, I would never turn someone away. Even if they're, I know we're primarily women, but even if they are male, if they're going through whatever they're going through, we're gonna get you connected to the resources that you need. Because it's just not in me to do that. At the end of the
yeah,
day, I'm pro um like, yeah, pro, obviously pro human, but pro resource. Like, I don't care who
Yeah.
you are, your gender, your background. We're here to support, we're here to bridge gaps. And at the end of the
Yes.
day, together, like I said earlier, we're stronger together.
Yep.
So, you know, that's what partnerships are for. That's what we're here for. And, you know, people don't have to feel like they're having to handle everything all alone at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And and so kind of like wrapping up a little bit here. What would you tell yourself, I don't know, maybe like 10, 12 years ago, being who you are today, if you could look at that woman who was there, and maybe it wasn't 10, 12 years ago, maybe it was 5 years ago, I don't know, but just the woman that you're not today, but the woman you were then, and then the woman you are today, to speak to her, what would you tell her?
I would tell her, Jessica, cut the shit. Like, I would literally tell myself, I was just having this conversation with my best friend. I'm like, I literally look at myself for things and situations that happen to me, or even situations I put myself in, and I look back and I poured into so many other people, relationships,
Mm-hmm.
situations, instead of pouring into myself.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously all of that made me into who I am today. But after I refocus on pouring into myself and what makes me fulfilled in life, I feel like everything started shifting for me, and I feel so much more fulfilled in my life.
Yeah.
So I think once you take the focus on other people and that codependency of people pleasing, right? At least for me, and focusing on, or relying, I should say, on somebody to make me happy and rely on them for my happiness. And I
Mm-hmm.
started relying on me and doing things for me, my world started to shift so much more, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
so much happier. Do I have my days? Yes, I do. We all have our days, right?
Yeah.
Because healing is non-linear. We grow, we
Mm-hmm.
evolve, and we continue forward. But one thing I would tell myself is, like, literally, I would say cut the shit. But like, if I could go like from my future self to my past self, like, honestly, hang in there. It's not, I know when you're in it, it feels bad, and it's not as bad when you look back. I'm like, oh my god, maybe it wasn't as bad as it seemed, or maybe it was as bad as it was.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, everything, I don't regret everything that I went
Right.
through, because
Right.
it literally took me to this place and where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at now. So I'm honestly grateful for like all of those experiences, because literally I come into contact with so many people that I can literally tell them, "Oh my god, like I went through this also." Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like there's so many experiences that I can interrelate with people, and I can help them because I went through it. And it's
Yeah.
a variety of different
Girl,
things,
you
right?
you said that right on, like, oh my gosh, that just so that, like, when you said that, that just resonates so much with me, because I say that. I say that I had to go through my last form of abuse because I wouldn't be able to literally walk in this walk with other survivors that are therapists who are like, I can't believe this happened to me, or who are police officers who are like, this is insane, like no one believes me. And so because I didn't, like, this, like what I'm speaking about is like this type of abuse is a very different form of the abuse that people would see, that would
Right.
believe. It's like that type of abuse is like that pastor, that doctor, that, oh, he would never do that, or
Mm.
even, not saying it
Mm.
has, but even with some women, right? Like, there's been horrific things too that women have done that have been very looking successful, very, and it's like, so it's the covert, right? That really covert, like, um sociopathic abuse that I would not be able to walk in this walk if I would not have went through it, and if I would not still be going through it in an extent at like the far through this cohesive litigation. But legislatively, I never wanted to get in politics. I never wanted. I absolutely hate politics.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, due to the fact of like not going around the issue or and like getting to the root, it has to start there. Like for my industry, because it's like bridging the gap was where it started, right? With like the outpatient, the sheltering, the coaching, the program things. But then here came the systems. So that's why I also say bridging
Mm-hmm.
the gap between the systems, because I had CPS. I was working with CPS who was just like making it, it was like a contradiction, and I was like, you can't put this individual who was abused by this person in the same room and expect them.
Yes. This is
So I
why
had to,
this is why I
yeah,
say I don't believe in broken people. I believe in broken systems, and that's what we
yeah,
need
and
to
I love.
fix.
Yes, and that's when you told me that look, I was like, oh my gosh, this conversation is going to be. I just like feel so much of the energy, like even though you're not here, like I just feel this vibrance, like this
Yes.
vibe. I could probably talk to you for hours, girl. But I can't wait for us to get on more sessions and kind of dive deeper because I have more talks that I'm starting to dive into about like the human science of the mind when it comes to recovering from abuse. And that's going to be like a
Mm-hmm.
whole podcast session. But the She Is Movement is a book that I just published. It's survivor stories. So we'll be having volume 2, and we're looking for other survivors. So I'm asking you if you want to ask anybody on your side. I'll give you all the form, the information that they can fill out online to submit, and they can be a part of it. And then once they're a part of it, it's we're gonna get all the books out to the shelters. We're gonna start going to different states. We're gonna hit Florida first, and we're gonna get on the domestic violence hotline. They have like a
Yeah.
huge conference, and I want to. We're gonna go to that and speak at that,
Wow.
and just really be this movement. And I really think your organization, you got that. Like you know how to get the interns, all that stuff. So you got
Yes.
this stuff that I'm gonna learn from. And I can bring, knowledge to you too, and just
Yes.
like this huge partnership across states. I'm here in
Yes.
Colorado. You're over there in South Carolina. Like, I'm so excited to go to South Carolina now. I'm like, I'm gonna go there and say like I actually am gonna meet someone that's also a founder in person.
Yes. Like honestly, I'm very excited and I think we could do so many great things together
Yeah,
with both of our organizations and there's a
yeah,
lot. So we definitely have to catch up again. We have to have talks and definitely
yeah,
we should officially partner and do work, right? Cuz I think it would
yeah.
be great for both of our organizations.
All right. So, just to close the last words, what would you want to say to the audience? We are live. So, what would you want to say to the audience to find your services, to find your organization, and any information?
Yes, you can go on Daughters of Both Sons. That's SUNS.org. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at Daughters of Both Sons as well. There on the website, we have event information. We're also on Eventbrite. You can find also on the App Store our app as well, Daughters of Both Sons. And yeah, like you can directly on the website there's various amount of resources. We're continuously working with folks, and yeah, if you need assistance, if you need help, we're never gonna deny you either here. So feel free to reach out. I love networking, I love talking to new people and sharing experiences, so I
Yeah.
welcome whoever wants to reach out as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. Made a lot of my day. And everybody who's listening, this is the Conquered for Me podcast. My name is Lisa, the founder and author of the She Is movement and who she is. And we will be tuning in again. I thank you all for listening and have a great day.